Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivāradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivāradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhav, Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jaya Radha Madhav. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prahlad Narsingha, Jaya Prahlad Narsingha, Prahlad Narsingha, Jaya Prahlad Narsingha. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madhava Asaki Vrinda ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Prahlad Narsingh ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Pramanande. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, Chapter 1, Text 38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayat Mudirayet Nashtaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisiki. Please repeat after me. iyān asava īśvara-vigrahasya ya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā sandhāryate asmin vapuṣi sthaviṣṭhe manaḥ sva-buddhyā yato asti kiñcit iyān īśvara-vigrahasya ya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā sandhāryate asmin vapuṣi sthaviṣṭhe manaḥ sva-buddhyā yato asti kiñcit iyān īśvara-vigrahasya ya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā sandhāryate asmin vapuṣi sthaviṣṭhe manaḥ sva-buddhyā yato asti kiñcit. Prabhuji. iyān īśvara-vigrahasya ya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā sandhāryate asmin vapuṣi sthaviṣṭhe manaḥ sva-buddhyā yato kiñcit iyān īśvara-vigrahasya ya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā manaḥ sva-buddhyā yato kiñcit. iyān īśvara-vigrahasya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā sandhāryate asmin vapuṣi sthaviṣṭhe manaḥ sva-buddhyā na yato asti kiñcit. Mataji. iyān īśvara-vigrahasya sanniveśaḥ kathito mayā manaḥ sva-buddhyā na yato kiñcit. Okay, please repeat after me the word-to-word translation. Iyān, all this. Asau, that. īśvara, Supreme Lord. Vigrahasya, of the form. Whatsoever. Sanniveśaḥ, as they are located. Kathitaḥ, explained. Mayā, by me. Te, unto you. Sandhāryate, one may concentrate. Asmin, in this. Vapuṣi, form of virāṭ. Sthaviṣṭhe, in the gross. Manaḥ, mind. Sva-buddhyā, by one's intelligence. Not. Yataḥ, beyond him. Asti, there is. Kiñcit, anything else. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Please repeat after me the translation. I have thus explained to you the gross material, gigantic conception of the personality of Godhead. One who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form of the Lord, because there is nothing more than this in this material world. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.10, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has verily explained that the material nature is only an order-carrying agent of His. She is one of the different potencies of the Lord, and she acts under His direction only. As the Supreme Transcendental Lord, He simply casts a glance over the material principle, and thus the agitation of matter begins. And the resultant actions are manifested one after another, but by 6 kinds of gradual differentiations. All material creation is moving in that way, and thus it appears and disappears in due course. Less intelligent person with a poor fund of knowledge cannot accommodate the thought of this inconceivable potency of the Lord Sri Krishna, by which He appears just like a human being. Bhagavad Gita 9.11. His appearance in the material world as one of us is also His causeless mercy upon the fallen souls. He is transcendental to all material conception, but by His unbounded mercy upon His pure devotees, He comes down and manifests Himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Materialistic philosophers and scientists are too much engrossed with atomic energy and the gigantic situation of the universal form, and they offer respect more seriously to the external phenomenal feature of material manifestations than to the nominal principle of spiritual existence. the transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of such materialistic activities, and it is very difficult to conceive that the Lord can be simultaneously localized and all-pervasive, because the materialistic philosophers and scientists think of everything in terms of their own experience. Because they are unable to accept the personal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is kind enough to demonstrate the virāṭ feature of His transcendental form. And herein, Srila Sukadeva Goswami has vividly described this form of the Lord. He concludes that there is nothing beyond this gigantic feature of the Lord. None of the materialistic thoughtful men can go beyond this conception of the gigantic form. The minds of the materialistic men are flickering and constantly changing from one aspect to another. Therefore, one is advised to think of the Lord by thinking of any part of His gigantic body, and by one's intelligence only one can think of Him in any manifestation of the material world. The forest, the hill, the ocean, the man, the animal, the demigods, the bird, the beast, or anything else. Each and every item of the material manifestation entails a part of the body of the gigantic form, and thus the flickering mind can be fixed in the Lord only and nothing else. This process of concentrating on the different bodily parts of the Lord will gradually diminish the demoniac challenge of godlessness and bring about the gradual development of devotional service to the Lord. Everything being a part and parcel of the complete whole, the neophyte student will gradually realize the hymns of Ishopanishad, which states that the Supreme Lord is everywhere, and thus he will learn the art of not committing any offense to the body of the Lord. This sense of God-mindedness will diminish one's pride in challenging the existence of God. Thus one can learn to show respect to everything, for all things are part and parcel of the Supreme Body. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sicha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Nama Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karvati vachalam pangam langayate giri yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarine Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Prabhupada Anugami Shri Subhaksamini Sada Dainishali Subhagyaya Sarva Jiva Kripabde Guru Shiksha Sadachara Palakaya Namosute. Hare Krishna. So the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, discussing about the first step in God realization. So we have been hearing from Sukadeva Goswami. He's explaining the virāṭ roop of the Lord. So these are last two verses are the concluding verses, which ending up, where Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that one who is desirous liberation. So he's telling that if somebody in this material world, especially the scientists, those who are intellectuals, so if they at all have to concentrate, let them concentrate on this beautiful creation, the virāṭ rupa of the Lord. At least by this way, gradually they can develop their consciousness, they can advance. If not, they unnecessarily, pollute their mind thinking of something else. At least let them think of the different forms, this universal forms, like Sukadeva Goswami explaining about how this virāṭ rupa consisting of, that is the different limbs of the body of the Lord, the 14 planetary systems. He's giving example of different demigods are different part of his body. Like this, he's been explaining about the virāṭ rupa. So now at the end, concluding instructions Sukadeva Goswami is giving that one who is seriously desiring for liberation, at least they should concentrate on this form of the Lord. So they are called attached yogis. And their way of meditation, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that let them at least concentrate on the virāṭ rupa of the Lord. And then we have another type of yogis, those who are unattached. They concentrate on the super soul, Paramatma of the Lord. So that he will explain in the next chapter about the super soul. But ultimately, since many of the sages who were present there had different opinion about, what path to take, which one, what is the topmost process. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami has been explaining different processes, Ashtanga Yoga, and he also explained about the virāṭ rupa. Then he'll start explaining about the Paramatma feature of the Lord, how one devotee who is unattached to this material world can concentrate on the Paramatma who is situated in everyone's heart. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, īśvara-sarva-bhūtānam hridesha arjuna tisthati. Brahman sarva-bhūtānam yantra rūಢāni mayā. And also one more place in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining, sarvasya chaham hridi sannimiṣṭho matta smriti jnana mapavanam cha. Vedesha sarver ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. So by all the Vedas, one has to know that Krishna is the supreme. There is no one beyond Krishna. And Krishna is actually the cause of this material creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Is Krishna, by his merciful glance, he glances over this material world, material nature, and impregnates it with the living entities. And that's how the cosmic manifestation is going on. And at time, it manifests and unmanifests. So this whole system is going on, but this is temporary. What is permanent? Srila Prabhupada mentioned the spiritual world. Krishna is Satchidananda Vigraha, and his abode is also full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So one has to concentrate. So the process explained in the Bhagavatam that there are people who concentrate on the Brahman feature, which is the Sat potency of the Lord. Then there's the Paramatma feature, which is the Chit potency of the Lord. And then the Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jiva Goswami also explains that Krishna is etecham sakala pumsa. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He said, explaining all different about incarnation of the Lords, ultimately what it was explained that Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam. There are other plenary and portion expansion of the Lord, but Krishna is the supreme. So ultimately Sukadeva Goswami wants to establish this point that devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate benefit for all living entity. So Sukadeva Goswami had 7 days to perfect his life. So previous verses, Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring, and Sukadeva Goswami is saying that the quantity is not important, the important is the quality. We may be having hundreds of years to live, But if you're not engaged in pure devotional service of the Lord, then it is useless. We may be spending our life in so many things. In the material world, we have been given so many facilities to enjoy, to engage. But it is useless having so much of time. And instead, even if you spend a life, one moment of your life in Krishna's service, then you can achieve the greatest perfection, perfection of your life. So he also gave the example of Katvanga Maharaj, how he concentrated his life. He's going to end his life soon. So immediately he concentrated his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Ambarish Maharaj also teaching us, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vandeyo. So always concentrate, meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna. So there's a difference that those who are here, for those who are attached yogis, Sukadeva Goswami is telling that let them concentrate on this gigantic form of the Lord. But you see the devotees, they are concentrating also on the lotus feet of the Lord, the form which is full of Sachidananda, full of eternity, bliss and knowledge. They're concentrating on the lotus feet of Lord. Every day their devotees are supposed to meditate on the body of the Lord. When we come to temple, we start seeing the Lord from his lotus feet up to his beautiful face, Shama Sundar form of the Lord. And Bhagavatam also, the first two cantos are considered to be the lotus feet of the Lord. So, in the Padma Puran is explained that how the different cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are the different parts of his body. The first two cantos are his lotus feet. Then the third and the fourth canto, they are his thighs. The fifth canto is his navel. The sixth and canto is his chest. And the seventh and eighth cantos are his arms. The ninth canto is his throat and neck. And the 10th canto is his beautiful face. And the 11th canto is his forehead. And the 12th canto is his head. So then in this way, by gradually reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we are able to meditate on the different limbs of the Lord. So it's very much important that we are fixed to meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord. Unless the foundation is not strong, unless we are not fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord, then if you go on reading different cantos, you will make mistake, you will not able to understand things as they are. So it's very much important that we read systematically the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why it's very important that the seriousness in Krishna consciousness. Unless one is serious, he cannot make advancement. Advancement he may be making, but it's very slow. But if somebody wants to make quick advancement, then he must be very serious. Prabhupada many times mentioned this, that one has to be very serious. If you are not serious, then it's like, in villages in India, you see that there is a bullock cart and there's a man sitting on the bullock cart. He is sleeping. He just, just hit the bull. Okay, let you go. So the bull knows where to go. So he has also a lot of time. He has, in villages you have a lot of time. They are very peaceful. So he just sleeps, and then the bull knows where to take exactly the location it takes. Yeah? But we don't want to be like that, right? We want to be very quick, because the express train of Krishna never, is not there for a long time. In the station there are trains. If you don't catch the train in time, if you're not hurry, you're not quick, then you'll miss the train. So we don't want to miss the Goloka Express, right? So we have to be serious. We have to know exactly that the 5 things were very important for devotees. Now the world of 5G. So for devotees is also the world of 5S. So the sadhana, starting from sadhana, regulative principles is very important. Starting from Mangalarti. So one has to come to Mangalarti, chant 16 rounds very nicely, attend Bhagavatam. So the morning program Prabhupada already gave us. So one has to attend that. Then sadhana, then sadhyaya. Swadhyaya is you are reading the scriptures we are doing. We are discussing, you are hearing and speaking. So this way, we are discussing about the pastimes of the Lord, purifying ourselves. Then seva. Seva is also very important. Prabhupada said loving devotional service. Prabhupada explains the word bhaja. Bhaja means loving devotional service. Generally in worship, people in English you say worship. Worship means, Prabhupada says, is a kind of your adoration, your honoring somebody. But no, Prabhupada said bhaja means loving devotional service is very important. So devotees engage in the loving devotional service of the Lord 24 hours a day. Very difficult. It's difficult to concentrate even for some moments, what to speak of 24 hours. So we have to mold our life in a way that we can remember Krishna at the time of death. Ante narayana smriti. So like that, the service, seva, is very important. I remember Srila Prabhupada speaking that I have given this 16 rounds for us to chant. But generally Prabhupada said this is 16 rounds is minimum. In Vrindavan, there are great devotees, they're chanting 100 rounds, 150 rounds, 190 rounds. So I have given this 16 rounds, so we should not take it for granted. I think, actually, even chanting 16 rounds sometimes becomes too much. We think that when we will finish our 16 rounds and then we can immediately keep the chanting bag aside, I'm done for the day. Again, never look back. For the next day, till next day, you don't look back. So chanting is always like nityam, it should be, the chanting should go on continuously. But since we are not able to do more than 16 rounds, then Prabhupada said, okay, engage ourselves whole day in Krishna's service. Then Prabhupada said, use this word, then Krishna may consider. So devotees sometimes take it for granted, okay, 16 rounds done, I'm doing some 2 hours of service, now let me, I have phone, I have, WhatsApps, so many social medias to engage. Let me engage myself in different ways. And done. No. And then what happens, this social media, especially these movies or videos, there's so much, make you, they make so deep impressions in our mind that I was actually, today morning, I was, preparing to go for Mangalarti, and then I see that something, I getting remembrance of something when I was in school. So strong this, impressions in our mind. So that's why we should know that, we should be very careful what we are associating with. When we are using this social media, when you are using the phone, phone is become a, what you call, eternal associate. It's a nitya sangini. Sometimes my wife complains that, you don't see me, I'm there next to you, but you always have your phone in your hand. So phone is like, everything nowadays, Either you're using social media, you have Veda base, you are doing your services to the phone, but it should be properly utilized. So everything, devotees, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, they had this article, the harmonist. He said, harmonists, devotees know how to balance their life. They should know how to use all the resources in Krishna's service. They should be knowing. If not, it's like you're giving a child a gun with bullets, and then you shoot, Either you shoot yourself, shoot others. But in this case, at least we are spoiling our own Krishna consciousness. So to fix the mind is very difficult. That's why Sukadev Maharaj Parikshit is asking them how to concentrate. The mind is very polluted. So the different processes, Sukadev Goswami is explaining how to concentrate the mind by Ashtanga Yoga, by different meditations process. So then the other thing is important is, one is the sadhana, swadhyaya, the shastra, seva, and last, but I think the most important thing is sadhu sangha. One may be doing all this four very nicely, but if he is not having sadhu sangha, especially the association of pure devotees, then we don't know. Anytime the maya will attack and we are lost. That's why you see that when time goes on, we see that every time we see new faces. Means You see some devotees in the past, now you don't see them. Because Maya is testing at every place, at every moment, it's testing. Prabhupada, one point he said, we are not very serious that Maya will test us. This is one thing, we take it for granted that, okay, it's going on. We are not serious that Maya may test us anytime. So are we protected, well protected? Are we practicing our sadhana well? This sadhana is like our protecting shield, it is protecting us from all these unwanted things, from Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord. So that's why sadhu sangha is very important. Sadhu will give his mercy, his blessings. He will always connect you to Krishna. So I was reading yesterday one article from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he is explaining that sadhus teach us by two things. One, by their preaching, their teaching, and the other by their character. Okay. So when we associate with such exalted personality, automatically, naturally, you feel that you're also developing that qualities. So that's why it's also very important to associate with the pure devotees. Follow their instructions, be in their association. One is hearing from them, other is the personal service. Especially as a grahasthas, is our great responsibilities to see that that we take care of the other ashramas, the brahmacharis, sannyasis. We take care of them very nicely. So we serve them. Service is very important. So while doing service, whatever anartha, whatever aparadh we are doing, Krishna take care of them. So regularly one should do service. Whatever best is, as per best of his capacity, he should serve devotees. Vaishnava seva is very important. If not, naturally we have the tendency to commit offenses. And it is like mad elephant. Mad elephant once enters the beautiful garden, it will destroy the whole field. So the aparadh which we do, Vaishnava aparadh, will destroy all our bhakti. So one has to be very, very careful. So when we hear so much that we have to be very careful in our dealings, one of the S is also the sadachar, is the how devotees deal with each other. When you have somebody superior to you, you pay him respect. There's also the Vedic culture that, when you see some senior, though either in age, either somebody is senior in Krishna consciousness, you pay them respects. Somebody who is equal to you, you make friendship. And somebody who is less than you, you show compassion, you be compassionate towards them. But if it's not there, then there is a lot of disturbance. Srila Prabhupada said this movement is meant, I made this movement to build character. He said character is very important. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also says this, that this material world is not fit for gentlemen. So at least one has to first become gentleman. One has to be good in dealings. The whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is full of this, the loving exchanges between devotees and the Lord. So Lord personally is teaching us. Sometimes we think, if some devotee is showing how to behave properly, we don't accept. We said, no, I know the Shastra, I know the Lord is there. So whatever Lord, so Lord himself is, he took that responsibility. He said, let me personally teach by my own example. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaching us. We are in his holy dham. So he's teaching us how to, behave nicely with devotees. And in that way, we can advance very quickly in Krishna consciousness. So it's very important that these 5 things. So I was thinking that now everybody is waiting when we'll get 5G network in our phone. So I thought we'll also discuss about this 5S. Very important. So Prabhupada is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead verily explained that the material nature is only an order-carrying agent. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, mayā dhakshena prakriti swase characharam. So under my instructions, this material world is going on. So that's why it is important to know who is beyond this material nature. So unless one becomes a devotee, it's difficult to understand. Krishna is saying only bhakta mam abhijanati. Only My devotees can understand me as it is, as I am. It's difficult to understand Krishna's appearance. Here it's mentioned, it's very difficult to understand Krishna's appearance. Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoveti tatvata. Who can understand as it is my appearance, my activities in this world? Only his devotees. And what is the result? That he will go back to Godhead. So every one of us, we are focused that we want to go back to Godhead. Of course, if the focus is not there, then it's a problem. The focus should be there that I want to go back to the spiritual world in this very life. If that focus itself is not there, and then we are just roaming in different direction. In India, there is one place called Jantar Mantar. I don't know, many of you have heard about it. So it's like, there are different lanes, you go inside, but still after going some time you may see you came back to the same point where you started. So it's all different direction leading sometime, to one place, the starting point. So unless we are fixed, the goal is fixed, the path going back to Godhead, unless we are preparing ourselves to go back to Godhead, then we are, just diversion, making so many diversions, doing Krishna consciousness, but our focus is somewhere else. So it's very important to focus in Krishna consciousness. So, and then Prabhupada is also mentioning that those who are less intelligent person with poor fund of knowledge cannot accommodate the thought of the inconceivable potency of Sri Krishna, by which he appears just like a human being. So Krishna is mentioning in Bhagavad Gita that manashim tanu ashrita. So people think that I appeared in two forms, so I am also like the human being, like any other being. No. Krishna is not, human being. Krishna is a superhuman being. Prabhupada says sometime. Who can act, who can lift the Govardhan hill, with his little finger? Krishna exhibited different, pastimes to show that he is not human, just a simple human being. The people, but those who are mudas, those who are foolish person, they think like that. They think Krishna is ordinary person, and he also, since he came in this material world, he is also subject to the three modes of material nature. But they don't know that this three modes of material nature, this material nature is an external energy, Bahiranga energy of the Supreme Lord. So here also Prabhupada is saying that none of the materialistic thoughtful men, so it's also very important this point, that thoughtful, so who exactly are thoughtful? Devotees are thoughtful because they know that Krishna is the Supreme and we have to worship Him. They know the whole science of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada has given the essence of all Vedic literatures in his purports. So devotees know by reading, hearing every day, we know that, that what exactly one should think. And he is also mentioning that this materialistic men are flickering and constantly changing from one aspect to another. So we can see in nature, generally, that people have the tendency to make changes. They want to change. Maybe this, then sometime they change, maybe not this. Also, sometimes even in our society we have this problem. We think that Prabhupada gave everything, but then we think there is sometime, there is something missing. So we try to introduce something which Prabhupada didn't give. So Prabhupada said, this is a very important thing. Whatever I gave, don't change. I have given you everything which will make you fully Krishna conscious, which will help you to go back to Godhead. Don't try to manifest something new. Because he knows that generally there is a tendency of, the flickering mind wants to, always think of something new. Let us do something new. Maybe, this way we can practice nicely Krishna consciousness. No. Very simple process. The process Prabhupada showed us very simple. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, Nacho gao bhakta sangha karo sankirtan. Mangalarti, chanting, hearing, taking prasad, following four regulative principles. That's it. Very simple process. But we don't want, sometimes people don't want to be simple. They want to complicate things. So it's very important that, we simply have to focus, put our faith in Srila Prabhupada's words, and go on with our Krishna consciousness. And definitely Krishna says that, definitely the people who are focused, they have faith in this process, will definitely come to me. There is no doubt. So we should not have doubt. And Krishna even said in Bhagavad Gita, those who are doubtful in nature, samshayatma vinashyati. They cannot be happy in this world, they cannot be happy in the next world. So very important, devotees, that, and also one place Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about how material scientists are, how people, they so much speculate. The speculating nature of people, Prabhupada compares with Dr. Frog. Very nice story Prabhupada mentioned about Dr. Frog. Dr. Frog in a well, he was, somehow or other he fell in that well, and he thinks that this is all in all. The whole world is this. It starts with this, ends with this. Yeah? So one day happened, there was an ocean nearby, and one of the frog from that ocean fell in that well, And immediately this frog thought, let me jump. He thought there is some prey, let me jump and eat. Then he saw, this is my fellow friend, another frog. So he asked, where are you coming from? He said, I'm coming from one reservoir of water. So how big is that? I said, bigger than this. So this frog is jumping from, and he's saying, this much big? He said, no. Then the frog, what it did, it jumped from one side of the well to the other side of the well. So this much big? And then the other frog is saying, no, it's far bigger than your imagination. So material scientists, material people, they think that, that they always speculate, maybe this, maybe that, maybe that. And every time they change. Of course, I'm not a student of physics, but we have this different laws. Somebody makes one law, then other scientist, then he has different laws. He says not this, maybe this, this. So Prabhupada said not maybe this, maybe that. Exactly, the scientists, they are less intelligent. They don't know. They will go on speculating for whole life, but they will not come to one conclusion. They may be using their intelligence, but they don't know their intelligence, there is very less. They cannot think beyond the senses. Even the senses are so imperfect. When the light goes, it's all dark, and you cannot see also. You cannot see what is happening the other side. So our senses are so imperfect that we still want to depend on them. So we still want to depend on the senses, and then we want to think, maybe this, maybe that. So this flickering nature of the living entity, Prabhupada always he is condemning this thing, this nature. So he said, everything I have given in my books, so you don't have to just try to think beyond. Just read my books every day very nicely. It's very important reading Srila Prabhupada's books every day very nicely, that all the conclusions of the Vedas are there in Srila Prabhupada's books. So one has to read thoroughly his books, hear from advanced devotees, pure devotees. Srila Prabhupada, we have so many his video lectures. So we can also hear from Srila Prabhupada and understand. And at the end, Srila Prabhupada is saying that thus one can become, the sense of God-mindedness will diminish one's pride in challenging the existence of God. So in this way, at least they can come to the conclusion that, they can start becoming, think about God. So in this way, they can slowly come to Krishna consciousness. And thus one can learn, show respect to everything, because everything is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So it's very important to show respect to everything. I just remember one story, Mrigari, how he was, being a hunter, he was very, always killing animals. But after he had association of Narad Muni, he started respecting even an ant. So one who becomes devotee, naturally he develops all the wonderful qualities. So Prabhupada said, just surrender. And all the wonderful qualities of the devotees we will develop. So it's very important. We always, have to contemplate on the qualities. Very important to develop these qualities, so that we have, in Bhagavatam it says, Yashasi bhakti bhagavati akinchana. Those who are devotees of the Lord, they naturally develop all the godly qualities. So one has to become devotees. One has to regularly practice Krishna consciousness. The whole process, Srila Prabhupada very nicely gave us, the whole, this society, the morning programs. So there is nothing that we have to go and search outside of this society. Everything is there. And Prabhupada is the best captain, He can take us back to Godhead, other side of the ocean, If not, life is very troublesome, not peaceful. So I ask for any questions or comments on this. I think it's already, time is finished. Hare Krishna. Yes, bro. Diet? No.
The tongue has to engage for having prasadam and chanting Krishna's holy name.
Yeah, of course. Prasadam is very important. At the same time, controlling the tongue. Prabhupada is saying, Sevan mukhe hi jivado. The first thing, start with service. More than eating is seva, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Prabhupada said, at least prasadam is in the beginning. But those who are advanced devotees, when you are making advancement in Krishna consciousness, there are other things to actually concentrate. Prasadam is okay. At the beginning, when we are new, okay, we have nice feast, prasad, palatable. But those who want to advance, they should control their tongue. So unless you control your tongue, because everything is in straight line, the tongue, the belly, the other generating organs. So unless you control your tongue, mind, is very disturbed, because you are what you eat. So you have to control your eating. The more you advance, that's why you see those who are advanced devotees, they reduce their eating. Of course, we cannot do artificially. We have to practice, and by practice, one day definitely, But it doesn't mean that, okay, in the beginning stage, for me it's difficult. Let me eat, and then sleep. Then what is the other thing? That the more you eat, the more you sleep. The more you sleep, you cannot get up for Mangalarti. Yes. So that's there. Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you very much for the very profound class. And I like this. You mentioned about pure devotees, the importance of the association with the pure devotees. And also next you said that we can identify, it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur article, yes, we can identify the pure devotees by mainly two characteristics. He's preaching and he has a good character, right? This was very important for me to hear, because there are many definitions of pure devotees, who are pure devotees, and I like this definition.
Generally, you have to see pure devotees through ears, not that their appearance. Sometimes pure devotees, like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he was staying near the washrooms because he don't want to be disturbed by materialistic people. So people may think, while seeing them, may think in different ways. So the pure devotees has to be seen through ears. So I was talking about that the pure devotee teaches by his, one is by his preaching and by his personal character. So Acharya also teaches by example. One of the definition of Acharya, that he teaches by example, means he practices in his own life to show others, Unless he practices, how he can show others, how he can teach others. Krishna also, he showed by his own personal example. In Dwaraka, when Narad Muni went to see, he saw Krishna engage in different activities, worshipping. So he teaches by example. So, yes. Yes, bro.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your class. Prabhuji, in the translation of the verse, one who seriously desires liberation concentrates his mind on this form of Lord. So one who seriously desires means the materialistic person, the translation. And liberation, what does it mean here, liberation?
So here it says, let me...
In the translation.
Yeah. One who is seriously desire liberation, concentrates his mind. So this is for the people who are not devotees, those who are still think of this material world as on and all. For them, at least let them see this forest, this hill, these trees, everything as the Lord. Let them at least see at least this, praise that. So there's a by this gradual process, they can become devotees. So what other thing you asked? Yeah, so this is the process by they can liberate themselves, advance themselves. By this, then they can further make advancement. Further, they can check about the Paramatma feature. Then they can go to the topmost, the Krishna Bhakti, devotional service. They can inquire. So it's a gradual process. But at least we are very fortunate that Prabhupada gave us the topmost. The people are, you have to go to the 100th floor. So you take staircase, you walk. There are different processes. But Prabhupada very mercifully gave us the top, how to go directly to the top floor. He made this elevator, lift. Just press the button, follow the process, and you can go back immediately to the top floor, immediately. So, yes, Hare Krishna. I think, any other comment or question? Or we can stop here. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.